Hello, and welcome to another episode of We Read It One Night, the podcast where two sisters can't decide whether they want to talk about romance novels or cats more. In today's episode, we're jumping back into the iconic world of Lisa Kleypas' The Wallflowers series with the second book, It Happened One Autumn. And I'm personally delighted that we got this episode in just under the wire for it to come out in autumn. In this episode, we're talking about Pride and Prejudice, we're talking about historical travel, and of course, we're shitting on British food. Don't forget to leave us a rating and review while you're listening, and support the podcast through our Patreon link and Etsy shop in the description. Enjoy the show! Obviously, we have to start out with the big changes on the cat front. Because we haven't recorded since everything went down. We've doubled the number of cats almost in our lives. No, yeah, doubled.
Yeah.
Doubled. Well, Rachel's now back to only the one cat in her house. But at one point, she tripled the number of cats.
Yeah, so we found these cats outside. And they were like so friendly. And first, like they're brothers for sure, because it's like someone dumped like a litter of like 5 kittens. And only 2 of them are friendly, probably because they're boys. Because apparently unneutered boy cats are the friendliest because they're, I guess, like less risk averse or something. And anyway, we gave one to my girlfriend's mom and he's doing really well. And then the other one, like we wanted to keep both of them originally, but like our house like doesn't really have that many doors, so we had to keep them like separated from a current cat that lives here. And actually the orange cat was like kind of fine in his bathroom, like he's 0 brain cell, he's very dumb. He was like happy, he was like, I get fed here, I finally have a stable source of food.
This is all I ask.
Yeah, but the other one was like crying night and day and like was like grabbing our ankles to try to stop us from leaving, and he was like so unhappy. And we like were trying to figure out what to do with him because like our cat does not like other cats, and I guess we could have tried it, like we could have kept trying to introduce them, but like he was living in the bathroom and just like miserable. So then we ended up taking him to Pennsylvania because I was like, cat for mom. And mom, well, because I wasn't going to, but then mom was like, well, yeah, you should have just brought him, like friendly cat. And anyway, now he sleeps in mom's bed,
I would like to know which
has never happened before.
He's shipped.
Don't say that. I feel really guilty.
He was
shipped so guilty. I know. Well,
yeah.
It was that or like living in the bathroom for like another indefinite. Yeah, he may or may not have given me ringworm. Unclear which of the many cats. I do have ringworm. Everyone gets it once in their life.
Do they?
As that one TikTok said, you too have ringworm by proxy.
What? Everyone gets it once in their life.
I came across a TikTok like a day after that was like, everyone, I have ringworm. Well, it's finally happened. I have ringworm. Which is luckily not a worm, dear listener. It's a fungus, which is way better in my opinion. Like that made me feel so much better. I have no idea, actually. Maybe because it's, I don't know. It looks, if you have an itchy rash that it looks like it's a red circle, pretty big circle. Ring. And there's a ring on the outside that's like darker red. And you said and pointed out like possibly a dot in the middle, but maybe not. The size of like a big mosquito bite. It's
a quarter.
You have fucking ringworm. It's easy to, you just buy an OTC like antifungal cream and put it on like twice a day, but for 4 weeks, which has been really annoying actually. But
well, has it appeared anywhere else on your body?
Scalp. No, luckily. No ringworm at the scalp for me, which result in bald patches. But anyway, we suspected the one cat that we brought to mom because like, I don't know, we just like thought he might have had it because he was like a stray cat. But we took him to the vet and they like checked him and looked at his like skin under a microscope and he doesn't have it. So now I have literally no idea where I got ringworm. Like, yeah. I still suspect the kitten because we never got it checked, except I really wasn't near the kitten at all.
But speaking of the kitten, we have to introduce another one of the doubled cats. Is this kitten was outside in Pennsylvania in our backyard. Like we just saw her scurrying by and she was like super thin and had shit all over her tail and like in her eyes and was just like hobbling around because she just like was so skinny. And so I went out and I got one of those humane like cat traps and I set it up and put a little can of tuna which is so strong. The smell of tuna, canned tuna, I have
Most
never
powerful thing in the universe.
is so powerful because I put it on one side of the house, like on the opposite side of the house of the back door. There is like a whole ass part of the house in between where this canned tuna was and the back door. And immediately upon stepping outside, it was like, it's Tuna Tuesday, baby. Like, it was so strong. Like, I was like, well, she's definitely going to smell this. So we caught her, and now she's living in the office. But yeah, so now there are 4 cats in our house. So Eleanor is the name of the kid. Her full name is Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of England and France, and Duchess in her own right.
But it should be Kevin. Just kidding.
She was previously, when we thought she was a boy,
Listener,
for the first
I think
24
we should make
hours,
a poll.
named Kevin McAllister.
Okay, are you gonna be upset?
Rachel, I honestly was like 50% of, I was like, you know what? Kevin is a funny name for a girl. And I've actually definitely like heard of Kevin used as a girl's. Like, I wouldn't go so far as to call it a gender neutral name, but like I've also like, there's definitely been girls named Kevin. But the pleading in Mom's eyes when he begged me not to name this cat Kevin.
Because when it was a girl or always?
When we found, well, he hated Kevin from the beginning, but he was ready to accept it.
I hated Kevin.
No, I know, but he was ready to accept it.
Okay.
He was ready to accept it. And then he found out that she was a girl. And he was like, please, dear God,
okay,
change the name.
I hated the name Kevin initially. I was like, fuck that. I've known like 0 good Kevin in real life.
Kevin McAllister.
That's not in real life, though.
From Home Alone.
Yeah, but like I've known many an awful Kevin, just like really bad. But then when we found out it was a girl, I was like, this is fucking hilarious. You have to keep the name. Like, and listener, weigh in. What's a better name for a cat? A small female black kitten, Eleanor or Kevin? Like, come on, that's objectively funnier. I didn't know Mom was so against it for a girl. Peter was originally named.
Meanwhile,
Julie
Rachel named
Matcha.
all 3 of the cats that were in her house some version of cat, but in different languages.
I would never do the cat thing. I thought that was very silly, but that is the cat's name.
The girlfriend's original cat is Cat. And so
anyway, so we got the other 2. We were originally going to name one Machka, which means cat in Serbian, but I think that's a good cat name. Like, I'm going to save that for a future cat. And then the other one was going to be Hatul, Tuli for short, which also means cat, but in Hebrew. But then the orange one ended up going to her mom, and she has no idea. Like, she was like, well, this cat's name is, first she wanted to name it Biff, which honestly, that's a good
like
name.
Biff from Back to the Future.
Biff. Yeah. But we tried to be like, no, it's like, his name is Tuli. His name is Tuli. And then she settled on Orange / OJ for short.
What is with that family's name tendency to just name?
She also has a dog named Mouse, and this is actually a very apt name for that dog, which also
that's true. It is like a little rat.
Yeah, it's a good, well, not like a cute rat. It's a very, very objectively cute dog. Like, yeah, but it's very like tiny. It's an apple-headed chihuahua, a long-haired apple-headed chihuahua, which like you Google pictures of that, and this dog's way cuter than any of them. Yeah, there's different chihuahua head shapes.
It's silly.
Anyway, the orange one is now Orange / OJ, and then Potato is potato / tater
/ tater tot, and now he's Peter. But our grandpa's still gunning for Marco,
which I think is a really good name. Also, Mom hates it. I don't know why. What did Marco ever do to him? Write in, or if you're a Marco.
But today's book I read aloud to Eleanor in order to get her used to human voices.
Oh my God.
I was initially telling her the plot of Home Alone, but then I finished with that, and then it turned out that she wasn't Kevin McAllister anymore. So I switched to this book.
Oh, you're saying like back. Oh my God.
Back. Yes, when I read this book. And I read this book with my eyeballs. I also listened to it, but that was like a month ago because I thought we were going to record this a month ago. But I also read it with my eyeballs, and I finished that today because the audio is the stupid abridged version again. Same problem as with It Happened One Summer.
Yeah, what was
and I wanted to compare. Okay. Well, so first there were definitely some cuts made in the prologue, not like important cuts, but like just like random, like they just decided to cut things in the prologue.
I think you're right.
And then the ones that I noticed for sure, because the problem is I finished reading this book. I intended to read them back to back so I could like remember the differences, but I read it so long ago that I don't remember like the nuanced differences. But the big difference is the first sex scene in the original book, Lillian, the heroine, is drunk and they have sex. So there's some consent issues involved. And in the audiobook and in the abridged version, I don't know whether it's abridged because I actually don't know how much was cut. But
is that that time that she just like goes to his room?
No. It's the pair. She's drunk in the library. She wants the pair. Yeah. And then they go up.
But in the new version, they just go to his room and like sleep and nothing happens.
Yeah. And honestly, it didn't make me as mad as It Happened One Summer. Because the It Happened One Summer ones, I think, negatively affected the plot and also just seemed very unnecessary. But this one, especially because that sex scene is like almost back to back with like the second sex scene. Like there's really not much that happens in between. Like I was still like, I don't like editing old books, but it was okay. The only thing that we missed is that she doesn't ride him cowgirl. They don't have like the cowgirl position sex because it's like cut to make room for
it's still just like really fucking bold. Like like make a new version and re-release it and call it like the PC, like you don't want like
or just
2020
updated,
sensibilities
revised and updated.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even have to say what, just say revised and updated.
Right. And like make that clear and then still don't just like, that's so ridiculous. Did they like re-recorded the audiobook and everything, like, right?
Yes, the audio, because the audiobook is the abridged version. Okay, wait, we haven't even said the book. We're doing It Happened One Autumn.
Oh yeah.
By Lisa Kleypas. It's the second Wallflowers book.
I'm more just like angry on
in principle. Yeah. It's fraud. And I'm going to be entirely honest, like the first time I read this book, that scene made me a little uncomfy.
Yeah, but like, I'm sorry. On new prints of the old book, put this book may cause you to feel like squidgy, delicate sensibilities. Trigger warning. Put a trigger warning. But like, don't and like, sure, again, release a new one. Like, if you don't want to read things that don't align with 2020 norm, like romance norms, maybe don't read this book if that's a hard line for you. Like, that's so I'm so fine with like more information and like truth and but like that's just so dishonest and like paternalistic. Like you want paternalistic, patronizing.
Absolutely. It's all because it's honestly because of TikTok. Hear me out.
Okay.
Book Talk. Romance is really big on Book Talk. It has like skyrocketed the careers of many a romance author. Like that's one of like it's one of the primary genres. And I don't dislike, this isn't like an anti-Book Talk, but because publishers are trying to appeal to Book Talk, and Book Talk is, and again, this is not a poo-poo, but Book Talk is mostly younger. It skews younger than like Bookstagram or BookTube.
I feel like it also definitely skews like recently started reading romance, which like a lot of people were introduced
to romance,
right, which is great.
TikTok.
But like,
no, I love that. Yeah. No. But so a lot of these people, because they're younger and they're new to romance, and because TikTok overall has this like underlying vein of conservatism. I don't know whether you feel that too. I don't mean it's like every video, but I just feel like it might
be your For You page, babe. That is definitely not.
I don't get those types of videos, but there's just like in this specific case in the Book Talk version.
What kind of conservatism do you mean? Like prudishness or like political?
Yes, that's what I don't mean like political. Oh. I mean like in like
when people are afraid
how
of
Book Talk
is
like Book Talk is like all of those big people, like there's this much larger wave that's like doesn't want spicy books or whatever, and that's fine if you don't want a romance where the characters have sex, like that's totally fine. You should be able to read that. But there's like this backlash basically smut had a moment, the word smut had a moment where it was being reclaimed and it stopped being a derogatory word, and now it's going back to being a derogatory word.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing this more and more, but it's also so those same people are the people who are embarrassed to read books in public that have real people on the covers, you know, like the half-naked men, like the traditional romance book covers. They want the cartoon covers. That's why cartoon covers are so much bigger.
Right.
And
popular, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone was like, when people started being like, I don't know, I'm kind of worried about the cartoon covers becoming like the exclusive, the norm, for a lot of reasons. A, because you don't know what the book is then. Like cartoon covers used to mean like, this is a not spicy romance. This is just like a cute little fun thing. And now it could mean, now you don't know what or it could mean a YA. Like it used to mean like,
like Stargirl. Like that's, I think it's like fucking Jerry Spinelli. Like that's what I associate the cartoon
you
covers
used
with
to know what a
originally.
cartoon cover was going to give you, and now you have absolutely no idea. Like there are fucking mafia books with cartoon covers.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Are there really? That's really funny.
I've seen a few. Dark romance in general seem like knows not, but like dark romance is also more self-publishing,
really
and in
silly.
traditional publishing is the one that goes towards is the one that's like really cartoon cover gung ho.
That's really silly.
But so first those people were like, oh, I'm embarrassed to read that in public, and now they're like, I'm embarrassed, like I don't want, you know what I mean? It's like it just keeps chipping away. And like going, like it was this great moment where everyone was reading romance and we were like being sex positive and like, and now it's going in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And the editing, to bring it back to It Happened One Autumn, the editing
is like the most extreme kind of like, or one of the most more extreme like manifestations of that. Yeah.
No, and I mean, editing the old books, that's nothing new. That's been going on. Like there are classics
like this type of thing.
Like, well, yeah. So like there's this book called Whitney, My Love, which I despise with all my heart, but it is like it's a classic. It's a classic from like the 80s. I think it's Judith McNaught, which I like her other books, but that book was I hate that hero. He can get pushed down the wishing well in this and then die a slow death. I hate him. But that book has been edited a while ago. Like there have been multiple edited editions of that book because there's just so many problematic things in it.
Yeah.
But it's still like it was like beloved for a reason. Like, and there are still people, and that like there
it was
so,
beloved for. You're not saying it's like the book Beloved. Okay, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, it's not.
I keep like hearing like
it was beloved for it was beloved for a reason. Like it's a classic. It's one of the like bodice ripper great era greats.
Yeah,
but it's super fucked up, and so it's not like that. This is new. This editing old problematic books
it's just
is like, new, but it's growing in popularity.
It's giving like there's two ways, some kind of like very related ways to see it, but like one is like, oh, we want this book to be like acceptable to modern audiences. Another one is like it's still that, but it's like they want to like boost sales, and so in that way I get it. It's like recycling TikToks, like you know, it's just like trying to recycle the same thing, but like in a way that will sell better.
Yeah.
Which like I'm sure is what it's motivated by.
No, it is.
And I get it. Right. As long as it's not, it's just like, why?
Yeah. Like I worked in publishing. I know exactly what's going on. And I don't think you even have to have worked in publishing. Exactly. You just need to have a basic understanding of how sales works. You know?
Right.
Like I get it. Mm-hmm. But it's a problem, and it's a problem that goes hand in hand with all the like book banning stuff.
Yeah, right. No, I know. It's like book banning light. Yeah.
Anyway, let's stop talking about capitalism. Let's start talking about the feudal system, baby. Aristocratic England.
It's not feudal.
What is it? The landed gentry? What's that system called?
Yeah, I don't know.
Agrarian?
Mercantilism still? Agrarian mercantilism?
Maybe.
Pre-capitalism. I guess it's still capitalism.
No, it's capital. We're in the beginning of capitalism at that point.
Not the beginning of capitalism.
No, yeah. The capitalism began with like this late 1700s. I think that's like the official.
Sure. Okay. So then these people are very much living in
Well, it's the 1830s, so
No,
like
okay.
50 years into capitalism.
So the American Revolution sets off the.
I don't know. I'm thinking
Anyway,
of
I don't know. I don't know.
Jonathan.
Who
Who is
cares?
it?
Adam,
Swift?
Hand Man.
No.
No, the Hand Man. Who wrote the Hand?
The Invisible Hand.
Yeah, who's that bitch? Man.
The Wealth of Nations? Is that what it's
Sure.
called?
That feels really
Adam
right.
Smith. Of course it's Smith.
Adam
Smith.
Adam
Smith.
with the most basic ass
The
name.
daddy
Adam
of
with the basic ass.
capitalism.
Adam with the
It truly is
hand.
the most basic ass name. It really, truly is.
For like in theory, although like Adam is actually pretty rare, you know.
I know, but like
not
in like name origin,
right.
I feel like it's even more of a basic ass name than like John, because it's like
the OG. Yeah.
the OG.
Adam.
But so the only thing I have to say about the prologue is that one of the things that was cut, because I did read the first 100 pages of this book directly after listening to it. So the first 100 pages, it was fresh in my mind what was cut, were these random lines about that Lillian can smell people.
Oh, yeah. I knew there was something. Yeah, there was all this stuff about her nose. They cut that for some reason, which made the prologue like, I feel like they were thinking of it as like, this is too boring and like isn't necessary to the plot and we should just cut it. But like at that point, they should have just cut the whole prologue and been like, she got some magic perfume, because that made it so much more boring, getting rid of that, because it was interesting before. I remember being like, oh, this is cool. Like we're learning like fun facts and like this is like a weird talent. Like
yeah.
Then
like,
she just cut anything that made it interesting and just kept like pointless, boring. Like anyway,
although
sorry.
I'll be honest, the way that Lillian's sniffing skills are hyped up in the prologue, even in the cut version, I would have expected it to have like been
way more relevant
somehow in the finale.
Yeah,
but, like it's not. It was just in the Lillian gets this like perfume, and the guy selling it is like, it's magic, it'll attract your true love, it has a secret ingredient. Listener, guesses what? The secret ingredient was you all along.
No, but like that whole gimmick throughout the book, and maybe it's because of like the cut random stuff that I'm not remembering, but like it just felt very.
No, it's random in the original as well.
Okay, it felt very unnecessary. It felt like something that was like a holdover from like a first draft and like used to be very, very important. Yeah. And then she just couldn't bring herself to like cut it entirely. So she just kept it. Like,
I think she also
almost
wanted
was giving that was going to be like the central conflict, where it's like that was going to be the reason she didn't believe
she was going to have to sniff out like which one's Westcliff, which one's like St.
my God,
Vincent.
he was going to have to, right.
Something like that.
Somehow.
No, I think she just wanted to keep the perfume because Lisa really likes having like an object in her books, like an object that's like central to the couple. So like in this book, it was the perfume. The first book, it was the boots. And she does this in other books too. Like in Winterborn, it was the orchid, like the orchid that Winterborn took care. Like she likes to have objects.
That's interesting. That's not something I ever would have known what you were talking about if I didn't like know the examples. Like what a random.
It's just a thing that I don't even know whether she like does it consciously, but she likes doing it in her books. You know what I mean? It's like a Kleypas signature. I don't know whether she does it in her contemporaries, but she does in her historicals.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like a holdover. And it, Mr. Nettles, like, I don't know whether you got this in the cut version. He's the perfume guy, and he has this thought. He's like, it was a rare gift and not one he had ever known a woman to have.
Oh my God. No, I did not get any of his internal monologue. Wait, we can compare like this. Okay, so you took notes only on the, okay.
I took notes only on the final original version. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, because I listened to the cut version at like 3 times speed, so I could just get through it.
Okay, so we can compare. God.
Yes. And Lillian also, so Lillian can smell people really well. She can smell, quote, their intrinsic scent,
which is allegedly a thing.
Daisy's reaction to it is basically like, people can't smell people, is so like Edward reacting to Bella smelling blood coated. I like had to put people the book down. Like,
what is silly? People can't smell people.
I was
people can't smell blood. That is really silly. Now we cut to fucking Marcus, who's like a quote unquote alpha male, like that type of shit, like good at everything and like blah blah blah.
But he's also a short king.
Yeah,
or as
except,
short as
like,
you can be in a romance novel.
book. Like,
Him
he's
and
probably
Lillian are the same height. That's
no,
all.
they're
I have to
not.
say.
Lillian's like still 3 inches shorter. Like, if I had to guess, I feel like he's probably like 6 foot or like 5'11" or something, and she's
He's just
like
all I
5'8".
know is that he is described as shorter than all the other heroes, and that's what matters.
I remember. Exactly. Well, that's so funny because I remember like talking about that a while ago. Like books like this where it's like interlacing characters, like kind of like a series. I was like, I wonder if we kept track of like how the people are described, if it's actually consistent, like if it's internally consistent within the series, because I feel like, yeah, the hero's always like taller than the other men that appear, but then like in the hero's book, so you're right, at least she like committed to like, at least for this one dude, remembering.
Because Lillian does have thoughts where she's like, yeah, Westcliff and I are almost the same height, like if not the same
though,
height,
which is really bold. Like,
what is 3 inches in
you're
Romance
right, when
land?
it's usually a fucking foot. Yeah,
you know, it's usually
so
like,
silly. I hate that.
She's getting neck
also,
problems.
Yeah, and so like, yeah, Matt Marcus is like quote unquote good at everything, and like I just was thinking when I was doing this, I was like, how come when it's a man, it's like you're an alpha male, whatever. I can't even say that like with a straight face, but like when it's a woman, you're like just a Mary Sue if you're good at everything. I guess it's because he like quote unquote worked hard and wasn't just like automatically good at stuff, but like it's always like, I guess I've heard men be called a Mary Sue also.
Sexism. I just dabbed for the people at home who can't see. So he's talking with his sister and he's complaining about Lillian.
And he's like, she's manipulative, she's domineering, she's arrogant. And his sister's like, well, so are you. And they're both like, haha, yeah, I am. Which I respect. He's automatically like, yeah.
He's like, you got me.
You got me there.
You got me there. He's like, I don't like it, but you got me. I will admit.
And they're having a house party, which is basically the entire plot of this book. Everyone's at the house party. He's like, I don't want Lillian to come, like whatever. It's his house, but his sister's like organizing it, which is really bold. It's like he's making it all
like
work.
acting as his hostess,
and he's like, this is just like, well, why? Like, tell me. And and she's like, you totally saw her like in a compromising situation. You totally saw her like getting some, didn't you?
Which he did.
Like you saw her with a dude, underwear. Didn't you? And he's like, no, I didn't. No, it wasn't that. And then he tells her actually what he saw because he's a snitch. It's from the previous book. He saw her playing rounders, like English,
baseball,
British
Victorian
baseball in her like underwear, basically.
Yeah.
Except underwear are like full length pants and like
are fully clothed.
Yeah, fully clothed, but like you're underwear,
literal
clothes.
Just underwear.
Yeah,
like, yeah. Anyway, but he's like, yeah, it was so annoying. She's like, there were 4 people there and you're only talking about this one lady. This seems a little suspicious.
Yeah.
And he just has so much anxiety about the Bowmans coming because like he's business partners with Lillian's dad. And it's because his crush is coming.
Yeah.
He's just also, a little boy.
At some point in here, he's like thinking about, this is like sort of, it's unrelated, but he's like, well, Lillian's dad is like a soap manufacturer, like makes smells and shit. And he's like, that's why they're invited. And Marcus, whatever, Westcliff, the dude, is like scheming apparently to get the British soap tax repealed so that poor people can afford soap finally.
That's how you know he's a good man.
Well, yes. But like, if that doesn't, zooming out, that's why the British are so grubby. It's so if that doesn't completely make sense, they're like, no one can have soap. And then we're going to roast the poor people for being grubby, but we will be ensuring that the entire fucking country
smells like shit.
So Lily, it's really silly that they name her Lillian and Daisy when it's like obviously Lily and Daisy.
Well, I'm pretty sure Daisy's name is actually like Marguerite.
Sure, but
if
like,
I remember correctly from her book,
which is a nickname for Margaret. Like Daisy is allegedly a nickname for Marguerite,
because Marguerite means
You're
Daisy
right.
in French. That's why.
Oh, yeah, that's cute. Okay, that's
why she's Daisy. Yeah, so they Lily and Daisy
show up, and their first order of business is to sneak out and go find the wishing well.
They're supposed to be taking a nap. Can't relate. I cannot relate. I would. The one good thing that I've ever heard about the Victorian era is the fact that ladies are socially obligated to take naps. This sounds like my dream situation.
Well, do you have memories of being forced to nap though? Because that's different.
Kid, but I'm saying as an adult.
Were you? But I remember. I mean, do you remember being unhappy about it
as a kid?
Yeah.
I only remember
actually
was
believe
chewing on
that
the tail of my stuffed animal.
Okay, because I have many memories of being really mad about having to take a nap, but I also have at least one memory of like the time that we kept going into mom and dad's room, and finally mom was like, okay, the first person to come in here has to sleep on this like little kid couch that I'm putting at the end. And like I stayed up all night waiting for you to be the first to like crawl out of your crib and go. And you were like out like a light switch within like you're like, that's fine. I have my crib. I have my
Listen,
crib.
I've had dark circles since birth. You can't take a girl away from the sleep.
Well, apparently you're still being taken away. Do you think I have sleep apnea? I'm just remembering that mom randomly when I was a kid was like, yeah, I'll come in and check on you sometimes. And you just like stop breathing. I think I got checked out like that for that. So I don't know.
Maybe you should. All right. So they sneak out
anyway,
nap time.
They go to the wishing well, which like also only shows up this one time. And like also in the first book. But yeah. And basically Annabelle, their friend / fellow Wallflower / heroine of the first book, asked them to go make a wish for Marcus / Westcliff. Because in the end of the first book, he like saved her life kind of.
Yeah.
And the wish is for him to marry someone who really loves him. That's like the wish that Daisy makes. And then
what does she throw in the well as an offering, Rachel?
I don't know. What is it?
She throws in the metal shard that Annabelle pulled from his bloody shoulder after the foundry explosion.
And I bet they didn't clean it or disinfect it in any way. Like that definitely still had its crusty.
That shit has rusted blood.
That's how you get kids. How you get
at least
hepatitis.
Daisy, she did wrap it up in a handkerchief. It was at least somewhat not direct. Yeah, no, the bloody shard that she pulled from his shoulder.
Oh my god! And then Lillian is like, "Fine, I'll help," but the wish that she makes is that he'll like marry a woman who quote unquote brings him to his heels, like puts him in his place a little bit.
I'm like, you don't know it, but it's the same wish.
Yeah,
it's the same wish. And also, we the next like few scenes are very 2005 Pride and Prejudice coded. The way Daisy is like, it'd be worth it to marry Lord Westcliff to be mistress of Stony Cross. Like literally that wording.
That's really funny. But didn't this come out in? Yeah,
this came out before 2005 Pride and Prejudice. That was the one. It wasn't Twilight.
Wow.
But this came out in spring, and 2005 Pride and Prejudice came out in the fall.
Wow.
I looked it up. Yeah. But I looked it up because in the next scene, skipping ahead a little bit, but it's on topic, like Westcliff rolls up in an unbuttoned white shirt with a long like greatcoat over it, like striding through the field. Like it's like
that could also vaguely be 1995 though, because the fucking lake. But like, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So they start playing Victorian baseball again, like rounders or cricket, I guess. Cricket feels much more similar from the way it's described. Baseball feels like we just got really aggressive with it.
Of course.
Tracks. It's American.
So anyway, only Lisa would be able to manage to insert a hero showing the heroine how to swing a bat scene into an historical romance.
Like truly incredible. And I was actually really surprised to even see that in a romance book to begin with, because I feel like now it's become such a like roasted, like, oh, look at these like men that are, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's a very like cringe thing to do nowadays in the popular media at least. But he does because she's good at like pitching, but she's bad at batting. So like so
he's like, this is how you
now that I'm
swing
thinking
the
about
bat.
It feels much more like a baseball bat the way she has to hold it.
I really think there's elements of both, because she also has to run around the 4 bases, and I don't think there are 4 bases literally just in baseball? Cricket.
No, there aren't. There's just like 2, right?
Yeah,
like the one you bat from and the one you run to.
I'm basing it off of that one scene in Chronicles of Narnia. When they're playing cricket in the yard. It's the one thing.
He's like, this reminds me of you have to do like a trebuchet, which is not how you pronounce that word.
Oh, is that how the person pronounced it?
Yeah.
To be fair, that's probably the British pronunciation.
No, the British. I looked it up. The British pronunciation is trebuchet.
British people do like, the British language does like to bastardize French words on purpose.
That's so true. That would make more sense. But the American one is like, honestly.
No, the Americans, that's why we pronounce it like valet. whereas the British
So I'm
pronounce
saying
it
for
valet.
trebuchet, it's the opposite for some reason. Like the American pronunciation is closer to trebuchet. It's still not like I forget what it is, like trebuchet or something.
I thought it was trebuchet. Is that
Well,
not
that's
how
what
it's
Dad
pronounced?
says. I mean, just when you Google it, I'm saying like the American pronunciation comes up as like closer to trebuchet, but like not quite that. Like
Huh.
I can't remember it, but the British one is definitely trebuchet.
All right. So they get that
Anyway,
one.
doesn't matter. She falls on top of him and they have a long ass conversation. Like they're talking and talking for like what feels like pages. And then you realize she's like, and then she suddenly realized that she was still laying on top of him.
Although they're talking because he shows her how to hit it, and she hits like far into the outfield, and she's gonna do a home run, and then this bitch tags her out. He blocks the last base, and she has to like run into him, and then he tags her, and like I would feel betrayed too.
Yeah,
The utter betrayal.
man.
Yeah, they're on top of each other, and Marcus is like, "Oh wow, Lillian's not wearing a corset." And I'm like, Lillian was running without a bra. That's what I focused on. I was like, how small are Lillian's tits that she did this without it being painful?
That's funny that you say that because later on they make a point of saying that if there was anyone like in the corset, in the anti-corset slander scene that you hate, they make a point of being
There's
like,
many of those scenes in this book. Oh my God.
But if there was ever anyone who didn't need a corset, it's Daisy. Like, so I guess it tracks that like Lillian.
Like she's slender. She's described as like tall and slender. So she probably has small boobs, but I'm still like, what's going on here? Marcus also finds out Lillian can pick locks, which is a relevant skill. Unlike the sniffing, the picking locks, that Lillian can pick locks does become relevant later.
It does.
But he quote, tucks the information away for later, which could either be very ominous or very kinky.
Right.
Like, yeah. Why are you filing this?
He doesn't need to file that information. Like,
yes.
She just needs to not forget. Like,
to be quite honest, if anyone's handcuffing someone, Lillian would be handcuffing Marcus.
So true.
Lillian also has feline eyes. Whoop, 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 whoop. There's a lot of cats. There's a lot of cat language in this.
Yeah,
book.
There really is. I missed that one.
There's a lot.
So much. Are you sure it's Lillian that has it? Not Daisy.
Yes.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. It still counts. She asked him not to snitch on them to their mom, that they were playing rounders again. And he's like, I never lie.
Which the number of times when my note begins with Marcus, I never lie, Westcliff telling a lie.
Like, right. Like, I don't know why they even like, what a silly.
It's little shit. But he walks them back to the house because they got to go back for nap time. And we get a wonderful scene. I love these types of scenes in which Lillian and Marcus are pressed against the wall, like in the shrubbery, because her dad has like walked by and they have to hide from him. And then they make out because Marcus like sniffs her like a fucking.
He's like, the magic perfume.
And then they start making out. And this is only a taste of what we missed out on when they cut the Annabelle Simon music scene. Ooh, I got so heated. at the reminder of what we could have had. But when we get back, we get some corset slander from Mercedes, Lillian, and Daisy. Yeah. They're all, Mercedes is like, your waist has got to be small. And then Lillian is like, oh, the gown wouldn't button if I didn't have the corset. And I'm just like, listen to me. The corset doesn't make the skin and the bones disappear. It doesn't. They're still there. They don't poof away when you wear the corset.
Pushes it in. It could push it in theoretically, but
not
those aren't the
like
ones
the way that the corsets are treated in this book. It's if they're cutting off like 5 inches from these women's a corset, like an inch max, because what you're reducing in the waist is also being added onto by the corset itself, which is a thick material. Like that's not a thin layer.
Yeah, right. Especially if it's like the fucking bones, like whale bones. I know.
But they're flexible. Whale bones.
Yeah, but they're thick. They take up space. I'm saying I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. But then Wallflower reunion, and this description that we get of Evie, the redheaded Wallflower. This is when they find out that like Evie's shitty family is trying to get her to marry her cousin Eustace.
Okay, maybe I just didn't take notes on this. Interesting.
But we get this description of Evie on page 68. And And the description of her is so like she wasn't conventionally attractive, but here's a description of her that describes her as the hottest woman ever by
Right.
modern
That's
view.
so, I know.
Like,
Evie, they're
she
constantly
was
being
freckled and red-haired with large, round blue eyes and a mobile, full-lipped mouth that was utterly out of fashion. Her well-endowed figure.
no, and that is something you get away with in historicals because you can be like conventionally, well, you know, for the conventional time period, like
Oh, I'm so
it's very much
ugly.
still like hot in the present day. I know,
Yeah.
but like I think there's multiple times that people like later in the epilogue when he's like, she's actually pretty hot, like as long as she keeps her mouth shut. I feel like that's the general thing. It's like she's hot, but like stutters, so
She's
they
so
hate
shy.
her.
Yeah. I do like that both Lily and Marcus are described as not handsome, but striking. Like the same language.
Interesting. Not handsome, but striking.
Anyway, I didn't like that part because they're fat shaming cousin Eustace. He's not
Oh, I
a
think they
dick.
took that out.
Oh, did they? Okay,
What
well,
did they say about him? All I got about cousin Eustace was Evie being like, he's like nice enough, like he might be fine.
No, they get this whole thing. Okay, well, we do get this very funny anecdote in which Daisy is like, one time at a party, he shook my hand and he gave me half a chicken wing that was accidentally in his hand.
And why not? Oh, not as a little gift, not as a little treat.
It was just in his
See, the only thing, and I wonder if this
no,
is
but they were
added.
fat. But the whole implication is that cousin Eustace is bad because he is fat. Like it's that classic early 2000s, like fat equals bad.
Well, now I'm interested in the original. Did they say anything about how it's bad that he's her cousin?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because one of them is like, I know it's not that. She's like, I know it's not the done thing to marry your cousin anymore, but like, how bad can it be?
No, Annabelle still says that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but they fat shamed cousin Eustace, and I don't like it, but I did like the chicken wing.
Okay, well, they took that out because I had no chicken wing.
Yeah. And then Lillian also tells them that like Westcliff kissed her.
Yeah. And she was like, he's a shitty kisser.
He sucks.
Which is like,
and Annabelle was like, you sure about that? Because the grapevine says differently.
Yeah, I guess the cousin Eustace thing is fine with like, yeah, because that wasn't really necessary. Like it was already like implied that her family sucked. So like, why would she want to marry someone that like is one of them and also like be like
not her true love? She's a heroine. She's a romance heroine,
right? Yeah. Or like picked by them, even like even if it wasn't one of them. Like why would they have her? Yeah, care about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that until I got to this point in my notes.
Chicken wing, hot dog, and bologna.
Where did he get the chicken wing? Where did the other half of the chicken wing go? Why was it only half? I was just about to
say, did they even have chicken wings back then? Because I was picturing like a buffalo wing.
Oh no, like KFC bucket.
We have the chicken wing blog, man, that I had to go on to fix my computer when the internet didn't work for like a year. Wait, what'd you say? Like the what? Like buffalo
Wild Wing? Bucket of KFC.
Yeah. That's what I was picturing, like a little, like, how big were they back?
Regency era hot wings?
Did they serve chicken wing? I guess they could have just had like pieces of a chicken out and like, in pieces and he grabbed like just a wing. There's no way they had like plates of just wings. No. Like they were not mass producing chickens like that back then. Like that's obscene. Actually, not that now you think think about what it would take to get a plate of just chicken wings. In today's world, like that's impossible if you're living off of like the chickens in the area.
In Regency world, not in today's
world. Regency world, but I'm saying like the fact that we have it today is like grotesque,
insane.
Anyway,
and frankly, British food is not that like I don't believe that the British
something like chicken wings.
Exactly.
Buffalo wings.
That's too delicious. That's too flavorful.
It would never be bone
alone
free.
Would kill them.
Right. It would never be bone free either. Or frankly, like if they did have bone-free chicken, it would not be chicken wing. It would be like the chicken would somehow be like gelatin, like mashed up first, emulsed to a pulp.
Absolutely. The food descriptions, Rachel, in this book, this is the first time that I've ever read a food descriptions in a book and have been physically repulsed.
Well, that's the point, I think. But yeah.
No.
So is she.
No, in the second scene, it's the point. But in the first scene, when the dinner is like there's a first dinner that's just they're just describing the food and then like we move on. And then the second dinner where she gets sick. But the first dinner, it's written in a way that's supposed to like feel like it's supposed to make me like think appealing. That, like, wow, a feast. Like, and I'm like, hate British food.
Man. God. So then we cut to Westcliff talking with his buddy St. Vincent, his BFF from school. And
Whose
this is
eyes
just like
are
to set up.
cat-like.
See, and that would have been him and Lillian. I guess if Lillian has the cat-like eyes, they would have been a great fit.
They would have given birth to little kittens.
Indeed. More kittens in the world. And this is just set up because St. Vincent's going to be an important part of this book too. But to just set up that he's like a dick because he's talking about this like woman that he was having an affair with, who tried to commit suicide. She's like the little fool, so silly, like that she's so indiscreet. And they're like, you're saying like it's just her indiscretion, like it's yours too, isn't it? And he's like, no, it was her indiscretion. I was discreet. She wasn't.
Hey, listen, fair enough.
And they're like, Westcliff, if you could feed all the orphans in England or never have sex again, like what would you do? And he's like, I never answer hypothetical questions, which like makes him the worst type of person. Like he kind of, it's not that he like redeems himself, it's just that they like shy away from the thing about him being a snitch and not answering hypothetical questions. Like he just won't roll with the bit. He's not into improv. It's not for him.
Well, because they're talking about how often to have sex, and he's like more than once a week is insane.
It's obscene.
And
it's
like
yeah,
Simon Hunt is there, and let's like, sounds fake, but okay,
right.
And then they all walk out, and we get a whole like Marcus doesn't believe in love thing because Simon's like, yeah, I love Annabelle, and Marcus is like, sure, you believe you do.
Westcliff has, because like he didn't like Annabelle originally, and he's like, I used to think like she seemed like she was just like a shallow, self-absorbed husband hunter, but like she has her appeal. It's just like Westcliff is like trying to get the poor people's soap, but like still has like no idea how the other half lives, like still cannot fathom, and that continues anyway.
But like poo the women. Yeah. And then Marcus, I never lie, Westcliff meets up and meets the Bowmans, who he avoided meeting before. That's why, by the way, he was like in his like sexy shirt Darcy thing, because he like went for a dramatic ride instead of saying hello to them when they got to his house. He goes up and he's like, it's so good to have you back at Stony Cross Park, Mrs. Bowman. I'm so happy that you are here.
That you
Marcus,
personally, Mercedes Bowman.
Lord Marcus, I never lie, Westcliff. I'm so happy.
Right. He's so
you're
full
here.
Of shits.
You're
maybe he is though, because he's like Lillian. He's like, he's like saying that he doesn't like her, but he can't tell a lie. He is actually glad they're here.
Yeah, allegedly. I cannot tell a lie.
When Lillian sees him like leaning against the door or something, like waiting, she's like everything about him from like blah 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 bespoke the result of generations of aristocratic breeding, which is just like such a ridiculous implication that like inbreeding would like get you like anything.
So he looks inbred,
bizarre. Right?
That
like, well, it's like from the arrogant tilt of his head to the physical confidence of his posture.
Okay. Are you sure he doesn't have like scoliosis because of like?
Well, he would be confident in his posture, then that would be more realistic. And she's like, I just want to tickle him. And this is when he's like, will you meet up with me to talk about our kiss? Which of course,
they got a debrief
again.
They got a debrief.
Got a debrief.
So they meet in the orangery, and the first line of this scene is, as Lillian walked into the orangery, she was suffused in the scent of oranges. Like,
I like that.
Please.
So, but like that's not what they
serious.
Yeah, but that's not what orangeries are, though, right? It's like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, well, then she's like also and limes and flowers and blah, blah, blah. But like Lisa just couldn't resist being like, yes. Here's a question, Rachel. Would Westcliff peel her orange for her?
I just saw that yesterday on TikTok. Yeah, for sure. He'd have, yeah.
He would pull out his little knife.
He didn't even get her a pear. Christmas pears.
Oh, I got a bone to pick about the pear in the bottle. Okay, we'll talk to you when we get there. Yeah, so then they roll in to have their little debrief, and then Marcus, I never lie, Westcliff is like, if we were alone on a deserted island, I wouldn't even want you then. You. I literally am so repulsed by you. And sir, it's a lie, because you guys weren't even alone the first time you kissed her.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm sorry, like it won't happen again. And she's like, as my father always says, an honest apology always comes with a price, which is a good saying, honestly. And
well done.
she basically like, yeah, basically it's like, I want your mom to be our sponsor and like help us get husbands. And she's like trying to blackmail him into it. And like the blackmail is telling people that he kissed her because like that would be so embarrassing.
How embarrassing for you. And he's like, no. And she's like, fine. Like, get close to me again. And let's see if you can like control yourself.
And not
and he's
me,
like,
yeah.
No. And she's like, coward.
Yeah.
A good coward moment.
Me too. Yeah.
And then we make out in the greenhouse. Every iconic Kleypas couple has one. And by that I mean Helen and Winterbourne also make out multiple times in the greenhouse.
Maybe iconic wallflower within the walls of the orangery. Is it orangery or a greenhouse?
It's an orange. I think an orangery is like an early greenhouse.
Like less
they're
effective.
Similar. They're not British. The same thing, but they're similar enough that I feel confident using them interchangeably.
Yeah. So the next day they have this random horse
wait,
scene, which honestly I forgot
they do kiss.
Oh yeah, they do kiss. Sorry, I thought you already
No, I
you were like they have the classic kissing in the green.
Oh yes. And but the scene ends with Marcus being like, fine. I'll
get my mom to help you. I thought he still says no, but then like does
he says I'll think about it. Because he doesn't want to admit that he's wrong. And honestly, me too. There are a lot of moments where I was like, me too, for both of them. Not very flattering things about my personality, but I was like, me too.
So the next day they have this horse scene, which I forgot it. Like I guess I listened to this like so long, but like I remember everything else happened. So I'm looking at my notes right now. I feel like this is it did not really need to be in the book either, but like whatever.
I guess it leads to the first time that
he's like nice to her. Yeah, you're right. It's very like, just to be clear, listener, like if it's not clear, they're still very much like ostensibly hate each other. Like she still expects him to like rat her out to her parents at any moment, or like like actively do things that will be mean to her. Even though they're kissing left and right, literally, in all the plants. Anytime there's a plant nearby, maybe that's the real theme of her. It's like the plants, the orchids,
It is the perfume is like has some orchid in it. So
when they kiss the first time, I feel like it's plant. It's giving plant. It's like
no, they're in the plants. They're hiding among the plants. Like among the shrubbery.
Plantsy wall.
Get me a shrubbery. Marcus, Lord Westcliff. Now they're going jumping, and basically because Lillian is not like other girls, she only knows how to ride normally. And I personally agree with that, because whoever invented side saddle can rot in hell. Like, what the fuck? This is horrible.
I mean, I guess the alternative might have been like not letting women go on horses at all.
That's true. Yeah, but
which
then
might actually
they also
okay,
didn't want women going on bicycles for the same reason.
I know.
Because they gave them too much.
They didn't invent side saddle for that, so no bicycles.
They did invent pants for bicycles.
Yeah. So Lillian, this jumping course is supposed to be like very hard TM and very hard, and like she's very good at riding horses, but like only in the normal way, not fucking side saddle.
Yes.
So there's like an organization that like does side saddle now. It's like anyway.
I mean, listen, I think athletically, side saddle is very impressive. Like if you could do like big jumps in side saddle, I think athletically that's really impressive, because I can only imagine like the core and thigh strength that would require.
I guess.
But it's still the devil.
It's just like harder for no reason. But I guess that's a lot of things in sports. So sure. Yeah, the men should be doing it.
Yeah.
See them try. And so everyone's like, Lillian, you're not good at side saddle. Like you're probably going to fall off and die and hurt yourself. Like, probably shouldn't do this. Like, and she's like, fuck you guys. Like, fuck you. I'm going to do the fucking, that's just making me even more determined
honestly,
to do it.
This is like, I
giving
know.
Demand avoidance. Yeah.
I know. That's what I was saying. I was like, I know it's like super dangerous and blah, blah, blah. She could break her neck. Like riding a horse is dangerous. But like, she's literally doing it just because someone told her not to. And that's me.
Well, I think she wanted to do it originally, but she like really doubles down because they said like, maybe let's not do this, Lillian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's okay. So what I was going to ask, Rachel, and I'm so glad that you've already brought up snitches over the course of this podcast, because Annabelle snitches and tells Simon, who tells Westcliff, that Lillian can ride side saddle.
This doesn't count as snitching.
Doesn't count as a snitch?
No, this isn't snitching. This is like, this isn't the same. It's not like telling on her. that's something she did wrong to like get her in trouble, you know. No, I don't think this counts as snitching.
Okay.
I don't know why. I
Yeah.
can't think of like a principal distinction, but like I feel strongly.
It's for safety as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to. Anyway, Westcliff goes up and he's like, "Don't you dare do that jump." And she's like, "I'm gonna do that jump." And he's like, "Lillian, no." And she's like, "Lillian, yes." And then she goes forward.
Yeah, like it's the difference between like taking your family member to rehab versus like taking them to the cops. Like,
Sure.
I don't think rehab is snitching. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. She jumps, she almost falls. They fight, Paris falls. Westcliff is like, "You're not allowed to ride anymore."
Yeah, he like
And
causes a huge scene.
Yeah, and we get this really like
they fight, she falls.
Yes, this
Just
really
kidding.
wonderful first example of many of them getting aroused when they're angry. Like they're constantly every single time they're like, "Oh, I'm so mad. I want to throw him to the ground and kiss him." And then St. Vincent swoops in and walks her back. And it's lame as hell, but also incredibly something that I am obsessed with, that St. Vincent calls the USA the colonies. Like, what a loser.
Yeah, I know.
Also, like,
no, I respect it. I would absolutely. I totally. Yeah. Like, why not? Like, he's like, I just didn't keep up with the times, which I actually believe. Like, I believe he was just like,
he was just like, what? What? There was a revolution.
Still the colonies to me. We've 13 original colonies.
It was 50 years ago, but like, news to me.
50 years ago?
It takes place in the 1830s.
Listen, I didn't.
It's been over 50 years. It's been like 60 years.
You're sure it's the 1830s?
Yeah, it's like 1834 or something.
Listen, it's a good bit.
It's before
he wasn't young. Yeah,
that's why I'm like, it's lame as hell, but also king shit. Like, obsessed. Lillian gets a Charlie horse on their way back, and St. Vincent like massages it. And now I need to know, like, does St. Vincent just have magical, right? Does St. Vincent just have like magical, like, novel hands, or is there actually
a trick? Does he just like pinch it and he basically just like, it's like 1 second and it's fixed? Like he just like,
I don't know.
like untwists it or something. Because if you could force yourself, like, yeah, massaging it and like flexing your foot is the like only way, but like it's really painful to do it. But it's never like an instant, like, not just like one. You have to massage it for like a while and it still not totally goes away.
What's the magic cure, Lisa? Is there a magic massage that makes it goes away? Because I would like to
a phantom Charlie horse. Yeah.
I do think it's funny that she got a Charlie horse from riding a horse.
Yeah, like why? Unclear.
Well, from the side saddle, because I guess she was gripping the pommel.
She was like tensing too much.
Yeah. Did you know that side saddle? So I think you do know this, Rachel, but listener, I don't know whether you know this. For most of my life, I thought side saddle was a regular saddle and you literally just sat on it sideways. But it's a special saddle, and it has a little like
fake like
pobble stick that you can like hook your leg around. Guys. And honestly, that made me hate it just a little bit less when I learned that, because I was like, okay,
you hook your front leg around it, right?
Yeah.
You usually put your other leg,
and then you put your other leg in the stirrup. Because this whole time I was like, how the fuck are these people not falling off backwards? Like, what the fuck?
I want to look up what it looks like, because I do know that, but I don't have like a clear image of it. I was thinking like you squeezed your thighs around it, but you don't sit totally sideways. That doesn't quite add up. Anyway, St. Vincent is basically like, he's like, did you mean to, like, were you trying to like goad her into doing the jump to Westcliff? Westcliff was like, no, I told her not to. And he's like, yeah, exactly. Like St. Vincent gets it. Oh, Simon. Yeah. The other dude. Yeah.
Yeah. But Lillian gets back to the house and the other girls are playing this weird like water and soap game to like predict or whatever, like what your husband is. And this isn't really relevant at all, other than the fact that like obviously Lillian and Evie both get the results that predict who they will marry.
It's really vague. Yeah.
Well, it's like Evie's gonna marry a poor man, which she does, and then Lillian's gonna marry a rich handsome man, which she does. But the only reason I bring this up is because the results, the like potential results of this game are so random. Like first three make sense. Okay, rich man, poor man, no man. And then the third one is, or the fourth one is noted author. Like, that's so oddly specific.
I don't know if that was in mine. That's really funny.
So oddly specific.
Yeah. Not just any author. Noted. Not like acclaimed. Not acclaimed, but no, he's on the roster. Maybe a little far down, but
like not even like businessman, landowner. Like, no. Very specifically this incredibly niche career.
Especially for the time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very random. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But Lillian is made to apologize by her family to Lord Westcliff. And she is obviously devastated by this, as would I be. This is my hell. I really empathize with Lillian in this scene. But then Westcliff isn't a dick about it. And instead, these two once again make it horny.
What a magnanimous gentleman you are. I don't know who someone says that to her. To him.
Probably Mercedes.
Magnanimous. Lady Catherine.
How magnanimous.
Mm-hmm.
And Lillian's like, wow. Sometimes he's not a dick. That's crazy.
Note it. Yeah. What a twist.
File that away for later.
Sometimes as a treat. A cat can have a little lipstick as a treat.
Not a dick. Okay, so before we get to the worst horrible dinner scene of all time, I would just like to note that Lillian is thinking of her 3 older brothers, and they all have names that begin with R. And I would like to know why Mercedes. Yeah, I would like to know why the Mercedes did not continue that theme with the daughters. Why not all R's? Rose, if you want to keep the flower theme. Rose,
so true. Rose, Ruby,
Rutabaga.
I
don't know. I'm sure there's another R. I'm sure there's another R flower.
Rita, Rose, and Rita.
Sure. Yeah. I don't understand. Why Mercedes?
What are their names? Do you remember? It doesn't matter, but
it's Raphael, and I know because he has a Christmas, the Wallflowers Christmas novella. He's Rafe. That's what he goes by.
Rafi?
No, there's no E at the end.
R-A-F-E.
R-A-P-H.
Raph.
I like Rafe better. And I've only ever read it with my eyeballs, so if the audiobook exists, I haven't listened to it. Anyway, now we get the worst dinner ever. Really, Lisa's just spits on, rightfully. Lisa, my girl, my home girl. She's really like, British food's the worst. They bring out a calf's head. And all the British people are like, how delicious. We have no taste whatsoever. Our taste buds have been washed away by all the rain in our country. And so we like to eat calf's head. Yum, yum, yum. And then Marcus is like, do you want to go see this butterfly?
Yeah, he's like, let me get her out of this. He can like tell she's about to vom.
Yeah. Ladies, if your man does not sneak you out of a gross dinner by making up a rare butterfly and even going so far as to make up a Latin name for it, then is he really your man?
Yeah. Like, and some other dude is like, well, I love butterflies too. I'd love, this one's the rare one I've been wanting to see. And he's like, no, it's fucking made up, you dumbass. And he's like, well, the butterfly gets spooked if there's more than like 2 or 3 people in the room. And then he's like, Daisy's coming too.
Yeah,
sorry, I'll pull up. And then catch it next time. Next I'll start. Yeah, I'll catch you there.
He's like, tomorrow.
Do he remember the next year?
I don't know. I've always he's like, tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. And so I'm always like did Westcliff have to fake?
Yeah, like he was like
I don't know where it is.
He was getting like a little costume and putting it on like a
yes, one of the servants hide in the bushes and like
even better, no butterflies were harmed in the making of this.
Paper mache's butterfly. But then they go to the greenhouse and Daisy, I ain't no cock block Bowman, is like, I gotta go to the bathroom. See ya. Bye.
Yeah.
Actually, they're at the conservatory this time. Which I also thought was the same thing as a greenhouse. I don't know. They're all glass things.
Yeah, what's the difference? Yeah,
they're in the conservatory.
Really no orchids in sight. St. Vincent is like, I got my mom to sponsor you guys. Like, I bullied her to it.
Westcliff. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, like, I really the way that the mom turned out to be like a total villain was like really out of pocket. Because the whole time it's like, yeah, she's so strict, but like it seems like there's very much like gonna be room for redemption. Like she's gonna be like she's so tough on the outside, but like she's actually like a softie. You know, like the fact that she does help them at all. Like
Lady Westcliff is a cunt in both senses of the word. Like she's a bitch. I guess in 2 of the 3 senses of the word. in the she's a
what are the
bitch
senses?
and in the new TikTok version of the world, and
Like
that she's
cunty.
cunty.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
she's
What's the
cunt. She's
third?
giving cunt. Pussy, like a
What's
vagina.
the third?
Cunt.
Oh, okay.
It's literally what it is.
Okay, sure. I know. I'm just like surprised. Like, does he ever like reconcile with her?
No, she gets kicked out to the
Yeah,
she
that's ridiculous.
moves to the
That is giving like
continent.
80s romance. Like that is like something. You know what I mean?
Listen, if your man doesn't try to commit matricide on your behalf, is he really your man?
Yes. I'm sorry. That's a real. He shouldn't be like out
Anyway,
here.
while they're having this discussion, and while Daisy, I ain't no cockblock Bowman went to the bathroom, St. Vincent, I am a cockblock. Sebastian, I am a cockblock. St. Vincent
Professional.
appears and ruins the
Yeah.
moment, and then invites
Mhm.
Lillian on a date in front of Westcliff.
Oh.
And somehow it comes up, she like asks, he's like, yeah, I don't like half set either. And she's like, oh, are you a vegetarian?
Yeah,
And
it's
he's
really
like,
funny.
no, I'm a
So
cannibal.
sweet. I'm a cannibal. I'm
Speaking
gonna start saying
of
that when people
cunt,
ask me. Yeah, he's also
speaking
giving
of
cunt in every way.
Saint
See,
Vincent
he's
is
like
the cuntiest
just as bad
historical
and doesn't
romance
get cut
hero
off.
of
That's what's bold, you
all.
know.
He does
Yeah.
get beat into a pulp. And I will say, Rachel, I know. So, spoiler alert, listener. The next book is called Devil in Winter, and guess who the devil is? It's Saint Vincent. Woo! He's the hero of the next book. I'm gonna be honest. So the first time I read this, I really hated Saint Vincent, and even though I could recognize The Devil in Winter was an objectively good book, I could not understand why it's like the most popular Kleypas of all time, and why he's like on everyone's top 5 romance hero lists. I don't know what's changed about me. Maybe it's all the mafia romance.
Well, you reread the book like looking for like the because I had like several things I can point to that I'm like, oh, this could have had like a different like he could have
Yeah.
been thinking something else that wasn't like totally
Yeah.
sinister, you know, like totally
No,
asshole.
yeah. I mean, the whole book, you definitely get that like St. Vincent is just trying to push people away because he has his family died and he's sad and does.
Well, right. I'm just talking about like the ending. Like,
yeah.
But what were you saying? You don't know what's changed about you? Now you were like, I want her
But
to
I
get
was
with St.
just like,
Vincent.
I was just, no. I was still
Love
St.
triangle.
Vincent for Evie, but I was like,
Yeah.
he's just a goof and a gaff.
Yeah, he's a fun little dude.
A goof and a gaff.
She does keep thinking like, is he a psychopath? But like, yeah, you're right. Now that we've done like the mafia romances with like literal psychopaths diagnosed.
What a gag.
Or like, what's the other, not psychopath, but like psycho, you know what I mean? Sociopath.
Anyway, they meet Lady Westcliff, and she is a cunt and cunty, and she's the worst, and I am obsessed with her.
It's like she's not the worst. She's like, if you don't listen to every word I say, I won't rest till each of you is married to some sham continental aristocrat. And like, it's really giving. I don't know. I can't. Like, I'm failing to think of like any actual character that's like this, but it's giving like Miranda Priestley. Like, I was expecting her to be like kind of redeemed. Like, you're right that like all the examples I can think of, they don't really get redeemed. But I swear it is like Lady Catherine.
She's
like,
the
not
Lady Catherine. She's the Lady Catherine of this Pride and Prejudice.
Well, she's supposed to be, but she's like smarter and like not like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's giving more Miranda Priestley, or like there's another one on the edge of my like memory. But do you know what I mean? Like the tough older woman who's like mistakenly, or like Aunt March,
Lady Danbury,
Lady Danbury. Yeah. Like that, it could have been Lady Danbury, right? Like, and so I was really surprised that she got like totally, like actually cut off. You know what I mean? That she wasn't at all redeemed. Because I feel like all she had to do was change the writing a little bit to where it wasn't quite so sinister. She wasn't gonna like kill Lillian. I know they kind of needed that to make St. Vincent look a little better. To be like, it could have just been a fake. It could have just been like a false threat, like a
But also, it's like, it's the classic Kleypas ending. Like this woman cannot write a book with like a normal calm ending. It's got to be explosive.
Well, yeah, but like I'm just saying the mother getting like totally like, and like, but then they kept throwing things in here that made her like more not relatable, but like sympathetic, but then like also making her like a total villain, being like,
it's interesting because
like,
the same thing to a lesser extent is with Mercedes. Like, we have these like moments where it's like, oh, she's actually deeply unhappy. She's in a loveless marriage, but then she's also
right.
just like annoying but then she's also Mrs. Bennet.
No, you're right, but Mercedes doesn't get like totally right, and that's more
Yeah.
that she's a more like
Yeah.
balanced, like kind of not whole person.
Yeah.
I just feel like if they were gonna make the mother such a villain, they should just commit it to that, like all the way.
Committed to the bit.
The mom should have been like actively telling them the wrong rules, and then that would have been like more.
Oh, but then that's embarrassing for her.
She should have been like, you always have to do two spins, and yeah, but she could have been like, it's a secret that I'm tutoring you. You're not allowed to tell anyone. I will deny it, you know?
Yeah, but yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
just
but I love in their whole discussion that Lillian's like, I'm subversive, like little exchange with her is her being like, servants are people.
We should say thank you to them.
Servants are people. And Lady Westcliff is like, no, they're servants. They're not people.
But then she did commit to being like the like what like yeah, I recognize the rules, that make sense, but like you just have to do them. Like that's where she's more like relatable. And she's like, fine, servants are people, but like they don't want thanks. Like that's not, they would be embarrassed and they'd have to respond, and like you would just screw them over too. So like don't be a bitch, you know.
We get a 2005 Pride and Prejudice dance scene. And I also love that they're both like fantasizing about each other, obviously making out, but also about just like cuddling and napping together.
Aww.
Her and St. Vincent have a little mini tryst. And St. Vincent is like, I'm a bad boy. And she's like, somehow I don't think there's no way he'd do something against a woman's will. I'm like, honey, we got a big storm coming.
And then isn't this when she finds out that Westcliff told St. Vincent to stay away from her? And that makes her be like, well, fuck you. Now I'm going after him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And they make out. Like she goes pretty far with St. Vincent.
And we're being surprised by that originally. This is like the first and like maybe only like real kind of love triangle where you're like kind of unsure like what's you know. I remember being like kind of unsure. Like I was like, it's giving Westcliff, but like this is weird that there's like this other hero, like
romance hero. Yeah.
Like
he's not like creepy
and,
or like
developed
boring.
Like plot and like conversation and like chemistry.
And like she enjoys kissing him.
Yeah, like connection. Yeah.
We also have in that scene we have a little voyeur interlude. And I love a good voyeur interlude, but only in historical romance, where she sees Olivia and her husband making out. If this were contemporary, I'd be like, go away, you fucking freaks. Like, stop staring at these people.
Right. I don't know. Because like she doesn't have a chance to like see that ever. Like, there's no like media or like porn even. I don't know if she kisses him in the abridged. Like at this point, she kisses him.
Yeah, he kisses her like very briefly.
Oh, they don't like make out. Okay.
No. Yeah.
I thought you were saying they like fully like.
Well, because she's like, I thought you were gonna make me feel better.
Because
she's like jealous about Westcliff and sad they can't be together.
Well, because we skipped the part where she witnesses him come in to tell his mom that his sister had a baby, right? And the sister is from previous book. She had a baby with like this poor dude who's care, like, come back when you have a pure heir for me. Like that'll be a cause for celebration. Yeah. And Lillian's like, fuck, like I can't marry him. Like, why am I so jealous of like his future wife and kids?
Now we get Farmer Westcliff. Farmer Westcliff cameo is back. Westcliff puts on his little Darcy. Yeah. Anyway, I love secret places, and they go to the secret little butterfly court. I like little cute little things like that. Yeah. They make out again because she's like, you can't control yourself around me. But I can control St. Vincent. Don't tell me what to do. And he's like, but you're a novice. And then listen, if a man I had a crush on was talking about us kissing and then said, from the way you kiss, I assumed like I would simply melt into the earth. I would simply combust on the spot.
From the way you kiss, I assumed what?
They're talking about, she's like, I'm experienced enough to handle St. Vincent. And he's like, really? From the way you kiss, I assumed ... Like,
oh, fuck. Yeah, that you're like,
I would simply expire.
You really wrote. He's like, I heard you say I was a bad kisser.
Would simply die. Like, that is so mean.
Yikes. I know.
it's so mean. But then they start making out anyway because he likes the way she kisses.
No, are you sure he says it like an insult? I feel like he's like, he kisses her and he's like, see, that proved you would have fallen for St. Vincent because you fell for me. If you like, you like let me kiss you even though you don't even like me.
It's he doesn't say it fully as an insult. He's more just like, I mean, it was obvious you were like a novice when we made out. And like she is like, what did you not like? What did you like not like the way I kissed? And he was like, no, it was good. It's just like clear that you haven't done a lot of it. So like he's not trying to like hurt her, but I would still die.
I thought he was just saying like because you were so easy to like get in your pants, basically. Which
he demonstrates. Then he demonstrates and then he blue balls her.
I know, that's the whole point. Yeah.
Rude, my dude, this is not how you flirt. I don't know who taught you how to flirt, but that's not it.
And then Lillian says that she's gonna marry St. Vincent.
Yeah.
When he asks. And she's like, I just want to walk outside for miles, which is very also me and Pride and Prejudice coded as in 5, walk alone outside. And at this point, I couldn't remember why or how St. Vincent kidnaps her. Like I couldn't remember how it got to that point. Because like he seems like fine, like very legit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
But I love that Lillian only wants to marry St. Vincent, not to like spite Westcliff. She's like, it's gonna be so fucking great because St. Vincent is gonna be a duke one day.
I'll walk in, I'll just let my hand rest on the window. Yeah. As I drive by.
I'm gonna get to go first and to dinner every time. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
It's gonna be sick. The term Duchess, it's gonna quake in his boots. He's only a like lord or whatever, you know, lady.
Anyway, St. Vincent has to court her. He's like, can I talk to your dad? And she's like, yeah, sure. And then she's like, I immediately need to go get drunk about that because I am sad.
Drunk in the library.
And this is the scene that got cut the most. This and coming up scenes.
Do they like fuck in the library, the first original?
No, they start making out, but then he's like, come up to my bed. And she's like,
so what happens in the cut is that she gets drunk. Everyone is like out at something called a race meeting, which I don't know what that is.
That sounded, I was like,
vaguely, I have no idea.
There's only one thing I can think of.
Or it could be like about a horse race or something. I don't know. Who's to say? Have we Googled it? I'll Google it later. No, I mean, race meetings in October 2023 is the first thing that comes up. Yeah, list of race events each day of the month.
Oh.
America's Day at the Races, the quarter horse stakes schedule. Interesting. Anyway. Yeah, that's really silly. Homonym. Call it. What are words that mean different things, but are the same word? Anyway, we'll talk about a homonym. She gets drunk in the library, and
homonyms just sound the same but have different spellings.
Like meat and meat. So it's the opposite. It's like anyway, whatever. So everyone's out at some kind of race meeting. The house is very quiet, which honestly is very like peaceful, like light dancing and the dust dancing and the light vibes. Like it's nice. She decides to drink like half a bottle of like some kind of juice with a pear in it. By juice, I mean bourbon.
Happy juice.
Happy juice. And there's a little pear in the bottom.
Yeah.
And one of the butlers like comes up to Westcliff and is like, hey, like one of these bitches is not doing so hot in the library, like one of the girls. And he's like, fuck, it's either Lillian or her sister, like fuck.
He like runs
to like check on her, and then he's like, oh my god, you're fucking wasted. She's like, don't tell anyone. He's like, yeah, but they might know unless you like magically are able to sober up.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I really want to eat this pear, as he's like trying to talk about like other stuff.
He's trying to like declare himself. Yeah, she's trying to eat his pear. And so we found out this is like, I guess, a thing. They grow the pear inside the bottle, and that's how the pear gets in there. But I want to know, this is a valid question. What happens to the pear when you drink all the alcohol? Because it's still in the bottle. But here's my thing.
Why not just smash it?
Well, why can't he do that? Why doesn't he do that and then give her the pear?
He's a fucking coward.
But I'm also like,
maybe they reuse the bottle. Yeah.
Oh yeah, how do you reuse the bottle, Rachel? How do you reuse the bottle?
Yeah, you don't.
He's a fucking coward. Is what
it is.
Do they just throw this away? What happens?
He's not a liar, and he's also a coward.
Yes,
the coward.
But he's declaring himself. He's like waxing about how hot he finds her, and then he's like, "Wait, what are you looking at?" And she's looking at the pear. She's like only interested in getting the pear. And at this point, my like growing suspicion was kind of confirmed. Like Lillian, I feel like is very autistic. Like not like constantly challenging social rules, being like, that's dumb, I'm not gonna follow that. Like She has like heightened senses. Like she's super sensitive
That's
for like
true.
smells and stuff.
PDA specifically. Listen.
She's very like focused. So they start making out, and then he's like, "Want to come up to my bedroom?" She's like,
And then
"Yep."
writhing like a cat, Lillian fought to put her arms in his coat. Yeah. So I guess in the original, you said this is like their first sex scene, but in this one, she just like takes a little nap and wakes up. And he's like, well, now we have to get married. And she's like, we didn't actually have sex. And he's like, you've been compromised nevertheless. Which I feel like I remember. I mean, that's just like a common, like I feel like I've heard that before. So it didn't seem off to me. But you're saying like they actually like fuck.
Yeah, in the real, well, because in the edited, he's specifically like, I would never fuck a drunk woman.
Right.
He says that, but in the original, he does
actually, in fact, do that.
He does, in fact.
And she still doesn't think he like actually wants to marry her. She now somehow thinks he's like
she thinks he's just marrying because they fuck, and then he only fucked her because like he's horny and like not because he actually likes her. And to be fair, he really does nothing to disabuse her of this fact. Well, he's like, we have to get married, and I'm marrying you because there are financial benefits between our family, and also because we had sex, and also like blah blah. And she's like, okay, no.
Yeah, she's like, I actually don't have to get married. Like my parents are hardly going to toss me out. Like they're not going to like put me on the streets. And he's like, well, you can't marry St. Vincent. She's like, why not? And then we get the like, because you're mine now. Like the classic, like mine. me. Westcliff goes behind her back to the parents and is like, hey, I want to, and they're like so happy. Like the dad's like whistling, the mom's
but he's like
I
just want to court her. He doesn't say we're going to get married.
All St. Vincent did either.
Yeah, he does the normal thing. And Lillian thinks that he like was doing the dowry and all of that or whatever. And so she goes like to confront him because like, she's mad about it. And he's like warning St. Vincent off. And then she's also mad about that. And St. Vincent has this line where he's like, there's only one circumstance where I could refuse you anything. What circumstance is this? Because Westcliff, St. Vincent leaves. And then Westcliff is like, what circumstances are we talking about? Lillian's like, I don't know. What is he talking about? We never get an answer to this question. This is haunting me.
What?
She's like, sorry, we can't be together. I fucked Westcliff.
To St. Vincent. You skipped over that. She says Vincent. She can't marry him.
Sorry.
St. Vincent is like, what if I told you I wanted to marry you regardless of what may have happened between you and Westcliff? And she's like, I can't marry you. And he's like, I understand. And this is one of the moments when I was like, this could be seen either way. Like he might be thinking like that she just feels obligated to marry Westcliff because she thinks she has to, like duties. Like he might have thought he was like saving her, but that's not really played up at all in the later on. So
no,
I was like, this seems like an opening.
It's not like he came up with the kidnapping scheme. The kidnapping
for sure, but like
scene
he
was,
might have like been justifying it like that. He might have been like, she doesn't even want to marry him. She'd like rather marry me. Like this is an I wasn't going to kidnap her on my own, but like here's an opportunity to like save her and give her what she wanted anyway, and make sure she doesn't get thrown in the river. But sorry, what were you saying? Where does he say there's only?
So she's like, can we still be friends or whatever? And he's like, there's only one circumstance in which I could refuse you anything. And this isn't it. What's the circumstance? We never get an answer to this question.
And maybe they cut that because I don't remember that. Maybe they were like, you're right. It doesn't make sense.
When she asked you not to like keep kidnapping her, is that the circumstance in which you can't, which you'll refuse her?
Yeah.
Like, I also just love in the scene that he's still shooting his shot. Like Marcus is like in the room and he's like, but like we could still get married. You gotta admire the guy.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of romantic. Like in another context, it absolutely could have been. You know, like if he was not hero of this book, it would have been like, I don't care. Like I don't care.
But then they agreed to like, you know, like have a discussion, like compromise, like talk about like their expectations, which is like good. You should have that before you get married, but they don't do that. Instead they fuck. And in the original it's the second sex scene, and in the new one it's the first sex scene. But right before that we get a whole Marcus, I never lie, Westcliff is like, I'm not good at expressing my emotions with words. This man delivers so many like iconic declarations of love, like at least 3 full speeches throughout the course of this book. Like, what are you talking about, my dude?
He tells her the story about like St. Vincent stealing a woman he was like not in love with, but like could have been.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I trust, like, if he knew how strongly I felt about her, like he wouldn't have done it, but like I couldn't let the past repeat itself.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't you explain it to him now? Like,
He's
and it
not
turns
good at
out like later
expressing
on,
himself.
his other sister tells Lillian that like the whole point of that was the woman like wanted to make Westcliff jealous. She's like, everyone else could see it. Like from the outside, it was obvious to everyone else, but like he couldn't see it. Like that she was hoping that he would be like,
Yeah.
uh, say, don't go, that's so
Yeah.
popular. One thing Evan wanted, but he didn't do it. He's dumb.
But then they're in their office. They decide to like have their tryst later in the night and they make out. And I do appreciate that Lillian, especially because she was drunk before she runs down to confront him, we do have like a whole paragraph detailing her vigorously brushing her teeth. So I did appreciate that, like, we know
And she's got
her
the
breath
smell.
is minty
It's
fresh.
minty fresh.
Actually, it's cinnamon fresh because she brushes it with something that's cinnamon flavored.
There's no way that was really, is that an old invention? So awful.
I don't know. It was cinnamon flavored. I feel like that's just like Lisa Kleypas for some reason likes like cinnamon flavored Crest toothpaste.
I mean, some people
like, she's that girl.
It stays in business like some.
No,
unclear.
we got it. I remember in the 6th grade in like parent. What's it called when parents come and talk about their jobs?
Parent teacher conference. Oh, with
no.
career day.
Yeah, and one of my friends' moms like worked for a toothpaste company as like a developer of the like tastes for toothpaste. And so she like had us each try or whatever. And that's where I learned like you can't taste well if your nose is plugged. And also that like somewhere, it may have been like Thailand, no, the Philippines, somewhere like that, the pineapple flavored toothpaste was the most popular.
I mean, I could deal with pineapple. I could deal with fruit flavor a lot more easily than fucking cinnamon. Yeah, why not fruit flavored toothpaste? Yeah, the dentist has it. I wonder why that's not more. I guess because mint people now associate mint has to be the original because people associate it with like clean, It's really good. There was a time in your life when you liked cinnamon.
Yeah. When I liked the cinnamon toothpaste.
Disgusting.
Anyway, they're making out in the office. And I just really liked the imagery of like there's like a stained glass window in the office or something. And she's like, I am bathed in like this dappled light, the colorful light. And I just would like more of those scenes. Just putting that out there for romance writers. I'm really okay if they bang in a Catholic church. Like I don't care. Just get them near a stained glass window. And let's have more of these scenes.
And she's still on about the fucking perfume thing.
Yeah, she's thinks
still like this is the only reason he likes me. Like, I hope I don't run out of this or something. Like, so silly.
She's like, you're so high-handed or whatever. And he's like, most of the time, the people who disagree with me do happen to be idiots.
Like, what? No, he's like, you need someone to take you down a notch. Like, you talk like you always know, and like anyone who disagrees with you is an idiot. And he's like, the people who disagree with me usually are idiots. Yeah, you need to
I can't help that.
Yeah, it's
like,
I'm not wrong. You're gonna look at me and you're telling me that I'm wrong.
Yeah, and what of it? What of it?
And the next scene, Annabelle, just to like follow up Karen from the last, is like tells them she's pregnant, but like the way that it's like they're all sitting at the breakfast table and they're like the light hits her.
Yeah.
Annabelle looked all of 12 years old.
Yeah.
And then Annabelle says, I'm pregnant. Like, what a weird fucking thing to put right before that news. Like,
yeah. I don't like that. I too wrote that down.
Yeah.
And also in the epilogue, Evie is described as like, oh, she's childlike. And he keeps calling her child. Like, as like
they're all described except for Lillian. Like Daisy is also like very much.
No, because Marcus calls Lillian little one. Little bear, I got your toothpaste. Marcus to Lillian.
Yeah. Oh, they're training toothpaste. Yeah. Or a gel training toothpaste.
Yeah. God. Yeah, no, that was weird.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah. So Marcus tells his mom and she's like, you can't marry her. And Marcus, showing that he and Lillian are the same person, is like, well, I was gonna marry her, but now I'm super duper gonna marry her just because
Lillian Bowman is the only woman I would ever consider marrying.
The
Marsden line ends with me, which like you didn't get a chance to follow up on. It's the inverse of like you're the last man on earth I could ever be prevailed upon to marry.
Yeah, like what a fucking drama queen. I love it. I love it.
And then the mom is really mean to the sister, who apparently is like a bastard. Mom is like, the only reason for your existence are to preserve the family lineage and money for your estate. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, and then she tells the sister, like, you're ill qualified to participate in any discussion of family lineage. So I guess that's the mom being a dick. But like, I just thought she could. I just thought she was gonna come around. Like,
No.
anyway.
Yeah. And then we get the second/first sex scene, depending on what version you're reading. And in this, she nudges his face like a cat demanding to be stroked. That's great. I also just want to say that like his chest hair is described as fleece, and I honestly like really love that in historicals only. In historicals only.
Fleece is awful though.
I know objectively I would not like the feel of it, but it just reminds me of sheepies, and in my mind, sheepies are soft and not itchy.
You had those blankets, sheepies, soft sheepies.
Sheepies are soft, and I'm like, sheepies. That's so. He has a little fleece. He's a little sheepy. So I like it.
Yeah. Oh, so speaking of the Catskill, he doesn't like dogs apparently because his dad. So we haven't talked much about the dad trauma. It's not really that important, but his dad was a dick and like tried to make him really stoic. And he locked. And when he was a little baby, when he was like 5, he found out he was scared of dogs. So of the 2 wolfhounds they had, so he locked him in a room with them.
Yeah, which is very mean. Very mean. I was like, how do you feel about that, Rachel?
What if they hurt
very
him?
You coded.
Yeah, what if they had hurt him? How would he feel then?
He'd probably be like, weak.
Not trained.
I need another son.
He gets her a whole box of pears, which I don't know why they couldn't just break it, but she tells him about the ridiculous perfume.
He's like,
I know. When I was like, maybe the perfume was just like a bigger plot point before, like maybe before she decided to like throw in the kidnapping for shits and gigs. Like,
yeah. No, I feel like the kidnapping was probably the first thing she thought of. Like the kidnapping is so Kleypas coded. Like,
so then, yeah. So after they finally have sex, and then the next morning, after like blowing up at them, the mom sends a servant to get Lillian and be like, meet me out by the orangery, like super like dramatic and like Lady Catherine-esque.
No, like, in really the butterfly court.
The butterfly court, even better, which again, same thing. But to see the butterflies, they went to the conservatory. Like, what's the truth? You know, there's a whole butterfly court. Why the butterfly court is secret. I love it.
It has a secret entrance.
Is it a court? Wow, it's sick. It's like a secret
garden. Yeah, it's fucking great.
In the ivy wall.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't marry Marcus. And Lillian's like, bet. Like, bitch, I will.
Basically, the ending of this book answers the question, what if Lady Catherine got Wickham to kidnap Elizabeth Bennet at the end of Pride and Prejudice instead of just
to prevent her from marrying? Yeah. Instead of Lydia.
That's it. That's it. That's what happens.
What if? And the answer is she has her drugged and it's like, you may proceed.
With
45 hours in it. 45 hours in a carriage. Can you imagine?
That's after they're like 6 hours of traveling.
Goodness.
Horrible.
That's so true. They only traveled for 6 hours. Yeah, what the heck?
Or probably a little bit longer, but like when they go after them, it's been like 5 hours.
God, that would be 9 days of a 5-hour road trip a day.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Insane.
Horrible.
How did people
No wonder
anywhere?
The British and the Scottish didn't get along because they were probably so grumpy every time they met.
God, yeah. I was really bold of the British to even be like fucking around with the Scottish at all. That's way too far.
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
Way
Stay on your part of the island. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. God.
Yeah. Yeah, so St. Vincent kidnaps her so he can marry her because he's poor and his daddy's cutting him off. My question is, why didn't he
that she was going to get killed otherwise?
Yeah,
they were like,
so like technically he's
like, come get her,
life.
or she'll be disposed of in another manner. Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like maybe that's where the redemption comes in. Like he thought that like she didn't really want to marry Westcliff because again, Westcliff once again didn't explain to St. Vincent how into this girl he was to be like, bro, hey, I actually want that. I'm actually into this one. Don't like make her jealous. And then like St. Vincent is like it's like well, okay, and then also the Countess. Well, and like she'll get over it. Like she actually probably wants to marry me. She just like feels like she has to marry him because of like whatever he like tricked her.
Yes.
He's like I didn't think he had it in him. And then the mom is like, I'm gonna dump her in a river otherwise. Like come and get your bitch, or like she's unavailable. Yeah, permanently unavailable.
Permanently unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
She gets like knocked out with ether, which is just Victorian chloroform. But a fun fact, ether in these historical novels, and I'm pretty sure like all historical novels, not just historical romance, like ether is always presented as something that's like really dangerous because it was very easy to overdose accidentally because this is the Victorian era. But actually ether is so much safer than chloroform.
Wasn't it just way less effective? Like, because it's anytime they have medicine, I'm like, this doesn't actually work.
No, it's very effective.
Wow. Why don't they go back to ether? Is it hard to get or something?
I don't know.
The British use it all up or something. Who came up with ether?
Probably. I don't know.
So yeah, she's kidnapped. Oh, and I was wondering, how do horse changes work? I feel like I should know this. When you're traveling 45 hours, they're like, we'll change horses. Like, do you just rent horses the whole way? Like that, I guess that would make sense.
Because we do get a line later, because spoiler alert, Marcus rescues her. They're at the inn, and he's like, we're just gonna keep going to Gretna Green because like I just want to marry you now. Like, let's get going. Yeah. He says the inn has a coaching service, which implies that I guess you can like rent a coach. And then I guess you like change, and then like on the way back, you like bring the horses back.
That makes sense if you're renting the whole way. It just seemed like they started out in their own coach.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I guess you could still pay someone to. You could just still pay someone to like take your horses home and then like rent fresh horses. Yeah, unclear.
Unclear. Yes.
Imagine 45 hours.
But she's handcuffed because St. Vincent is a kinky bastard, and he heavily implies that the handcuffs will be kinky as well as being
that he has the handcuffs because of kink. He's like, I'll show you how everyone else enjoys these. Like he wouldn't have these otherwise. When were handcuffs invented?
I think way earlier than this. They exist in Pirates of the Caribbean. Not that that's like a historical but like manacles. Like think about like medieval torture.
Manacles. I don't know what the difference between manacles and handcuffs is. Manacles like don't come off. Probably have to be like sawed off.
Yeah. Anyway, Westcliff finds out she's missing, and he basically tries to kill his mom. And I was like, ladies.
No, Allison. No, don't put that on the. I don't want that affiliated with me.
Anyway, they get it, and good for Lillian. She like escapes first. She like lock picks her way out of the handcuffs, and then she runs downstairs. And then Marcus appears and is like, "I gotcha." So,
couldn't her dad still have been like, "No, like now you can't have any of the money"? Like,
if why she would he do that though?
Well, so that St. Vincent doesn't get it. As like,
I don't know. My question is, why didn't St. Vincent just kidnap Daisy?
It's a great point, actually.
Like, we literally assist her with the same amount of money, presumably.
Well, I guess because he wasn't going to kidnap anyone. Why didn't he switch to going after Daisy is a better question.
Yeah. Why not? Por qué?
I guess, like, he only had the relationship with Lillian at that point, and, like...
Yeah.
And that, like, feeds into the, like, he kind of thought he wasn't being that much of a dick.
Yeah.
You know, because, he could have just... He wasn't going to kidnap anyone sua sponte. Like on his own, of his own.
Yeah.
And like, he wasn't going to kidnap someone he didn't think like probably also would have been fine with marrying him under a different set of circumstances,
Yeah, I guess.
No, and so that's what I was reading for, because I was like, I remember you saying like, how does anyone ever fucking like him? And you're saying it's just because
I wonder what they'll say in Devil in Winter. I'm actually very excited to read Devil in Winter. I finished this book and I was like, ooh. Because it ends on a very much a Devil in Winter cliffhanger, which the first book doesn't. Yeah. The first book is very standalone, and this book is very standalone.
A little bit in play, yeah. Is there nothing Lillian and Westcliff coded? I think it might have been like Westcliff looking at Lillian in the end of the other book.
No, it was Annabelle asking Daisy to make the wish for Westcliff.
That's it. Okay.
So that he'll fall
Not Lillian.
And we got that they were like very clearly being set up as enemies to lovers, but it wasn't. Anyway, Marcus gets there. He sees St. Vincent, and he, quote, Marcus vaulted the railings and landed on the steps like a cat. Ladies, I know. If he doesn't transform into a cat while beating up the man that kidnapped you and nearly destroying an inn for your honor, is he really your man?
God.
Can you accept that?
On the wings, which is also very cat-like. Yeah.
Yes.
Where are her parents in all of this? Like, why aren't they at all involved in the rescue?
Because I guess his dad can't, because it's like Westcliff and Simon are like riding super fast. So like you just got to send the super fast because they're going faster. They can go faster than a carriage. Yeah. So like it would just slow them. Anyway, something about this whole fight scene though is like when Westcliff is beating up St. Vincent is just very funny to me. Like I'm just picturing like Looney Tunes, like the like smoke thing covering and like asterisks and exclamation points like popping out of them, like rolling around.
Really? And I'm picturing just like, I don't know, St. Vincent just like can't fucking fight.
Like, well, the thing is that we're only hearing it Like Lillian and Simon are downstairs and they're just hearing thumps and screams from like above.
Then Marcus bullied her into eating a bowl of soup, although the ingredients were indiscernible, which again feeds into the awful food theme, but also into the like Daisy sensory issues theme. I mean, not Daisy,
the
Lillian.
Autistic. Yeah. And then Lillian falls asleep in the middle of this man's third declaration of love. She's drunk during the first one.
It's also
she just can't catch a break.
Suitable.
Can't catch a break. And then we end with the secret ingredient of the perfume was the friends we made along the way,
right? And what if he's lying though? Like she literally writes to the dude and she's like, what's in this? Why would he give away his secret? Like here he is getting confirmation that it works. What now? He's gonna give away his trade secret and lose all.
No, especially just someone who works in the business of fragrances. Like her dad owns a soap company.
This is his livelihood. This is his trade.
Yeah, he can't just give that away.
Your own soap for the poors. He is not
the poors don't deserve mine. It's super expensive.
Yeah. Maybe I guess it'll make it cheaper. Yeah, he'll just up the
end
price,
of the epilogue,
the same as the tax, and keep it for himself.
Yeah, is St. Vincent. He's sad and bruised. He did not get prosecuted because it would make an even bigger scandal, which is just hilarious.
I mean, that's probably like historically accurate.
No, it makes sense, but also like, what a silly world.
Yeah,
what a silly world.
So silly.
And then Evie comes and she's like, I'm making a Faustian bargain. Dun dun dun.
He's like, just because she's like, I don't think you're the devil. Just because you can't see the tail and horns doesn't mean you should discount the possibility.
Basically, this whole scene, he's like, I'm a bad boy. I'm bad. I'm evil. And she's like, okay, drama queen.
Right. Get over
business. Can you please
fine. I'm over here with cousin Eustace and his chicken wings. Like, you gotta come back and
I was locked in a closet this afternoon. Like I
just realized I took a note. Yeah, exactly. Like this is a nice bigger than closet size room. So at the end of the audiobook, it does say that it's altered because I wrote like, so it is altered. Like what's different? And then I was like, I knew he seemed maybe not so bad. So I was wondering if they took out like shit that St. Vincent did, but I don't think so. Seem like it. Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we just have the benefit of having read his
knowing
like redemption arc.
Redeemed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that he was going to be redeemed when I read this because I'd like looked to see who the next book was about. Yeah. But I was like, how the fuck?
And spoiled it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, I like read the description of the next book. I feel like that's not a spoiler. I just like read the online copy. I don't think so. They said that at the end of the Happened One Summer. I mean, Secrets of a Summer Night audiobook too, that it had been altered. But it's just not till the end.
They say in the print version, I wonder.
I don't know, because I have the original. Anyway, Catskill.
Catskill, it's high.
Yeah.
You ready?
This is one of the OGs for the Catskill. The OG, the origins. All right. I feel like we already pointed out. It's just a lot of cat language. And also, Lillian is a cat. And probably Westcliff. Yeah. Westcliff and Lillian are cats. 3, 2, 1, 8.
1.
What?
9.5.
Oh,
9.5.
You froze. And so I said 8 and then you said 1 during the countdown. I was like, what? Really? I was like, we were just talking about how what are you talking about? That's funny. Okay, so 8.75. You're really gonna do that to me.
I'm sorry. You can do 3.
8.75.
Hey Allison, where can they find us?
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at We Read It One Night, on X at We Read It Podcast. You can check out our Etsy shop, which has...
Don't say X. That's so silly. Everyone knows.
Twitter. You can check out our Etsy shop, which has a lot of Pride and Prejudice coded merch. So you could be inspired by this book. It's not even coded. Actually, it's explicitly Pride and Prejudice. And you can leave us a rating and review wherever you're listening, on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or wherever else. And Spotify has this like question feature. So answer the question for this episode. Other people have done it. You're not the first. So There you go.
Godspeed, comrades.
Godspeed.